Welcome back to another mock draft, and I got Alex from Hail Mary Sports with me today, and he's gonna help me out. I'm gonna be taking the AFC teams. He's gonna take the NFC. We're gonna do 3 rounds. We're gonna hammer through this. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know, so go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I always look forward to having that nice, beautiful football discourse. Alex, tell them who you are. But they should know.
Yeah, so
they're a friend of the. I mean, if they're a fan of the channel, they should already know.
They should know. So I've been on here multiple times. It's Alex from the Hail Mary podcast, formerly, now Hail Mary Sports. So if you guys like draft content, like you guys are coming to watch today, I make it all the time. So if you guys like that, you guys want more draft content, and you like opinions that might not be the same as Broshmo's, I'm your guy. So
if you like to hear opinions you don't hate, come my way.
If you don't want Russell Wilson traded to the Eagles, come my way.
That's such a low blow, dude. Let's go ahead and get this sucker started. All right, because I'm going to be starting with the Jacksonville Jaguars. This pick becomes a bit different now that they're number 1 overall. I'm assuming coaching staff, ta-ta, bye-bye, they're gone. So I'm going to go ahead and just take best player available when it comes to all these picks. At least when it comes to my board, I went with Aiden Hutchinson. It's kind of a coin toss between him and KT, but you might be like, oh, Hutch doesn't fit this. He doesn't fit the defense. It's probably changing. It's probably changing, Jags fans. I'm sorry. Don't get used to it. So, Alex, who do you got the Detroit Football Lions taking?
So I got him taking KT. Obviously, they don't need a tackle, so Evan Neal's off the board, and KT has been resounding number 1 for a long time, so Lions get to see him slip to number 2.
Oh, yeah, they do. I went Evan Neal out of Alabama for the Houston Texans. Again, no KT, no Hutch. They're off the board. I want to kind of protect my quarterback, whoever it may be, whether it's a quarterback that is yet to be or yet on the roster, or if it is, in fact, David Mills. I'm going to kind of go with the same strategy as the Jags and just go best player available, because this is a team that is very devoid of talent that I'm just trying to infuse it with some blue chip players.
Mm-hmm.
I also have the New York Jets, don't I? This is okay. This one I'm going to explain a little bit. Not really, but I went with Kyle Hamilton because I was kind of big brain this. I was like, I know if I was picked for the Giants, I'm not going to lie, Kyle Hamilton's kind of a sexy pick, especially if you consider if like Pepper's leaving, Logan Ryan. He's kind of like in that part of his career where he's more of a locker room leader, rather than a guy that's going to be taking like starter like snaps. So that I would be picking that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to snag Kyle Hamilton here. I know safety, kind of valued position, but Marcus may or may not come back coming off franchise tag. I'm going to get a guy that is very flexible, very versatile. You can really get fun with this guy in your defense. So I went with him there.
Nice. So for number 5 with the Giants, I went Ike Ekwonu. If you want to develop your offensive line, I know Ike's a beast. You want to continue developing your offensive line. Unfortunately, Evan Neal is the best prospect you can hope for as someone who can play natural right tackle. Ike is not one of those players. He's just randomly developed into a 5-star left tackle. And whether you want to move Andrew Thomas to right tackle or take a chance at Ike being a right tackle, you do you. But honestly, the value is way too good. He's an athletic monster. I love him. And if you guys want to see all the thought processes that went into every single one of these picks, there's probably going to be a 3-hour long video on my channel. So feel free to check that out.
Yeah, that's
if you guys
actually really funny too.
I know it's going to be
funny when we're trying to make these picks and just kind of like scrambling like, oh gosh, why?
I know. There's a lot of discourse in there. So to keep this more compact for you guys, just go there if you want the more expanded version. I also went with George Karloftis, another guy who's very polished, doesn't have the exact bend and stuff that Aiden Hutchinson has, but I love how he's explosive. He has excellent hand technique, and he's going to be able to make a very big impact at a very big position of need for the Giants. And I also have the number 7 pick with the Carolina Panthers. I chose Kenny Pickett. So Kenny Pickett is a high-end quarterback. Obviously, he doesn't have the highest ceiling compared to Malik Willis and stuff, but if there's a team like Carolina where you're pretty much a left tackle and a quarterback away from being legitimately competitive, this is where you need to start. Quarterback is the most important position. You can take a chance on a left tackle, or you can go with Brady Christensen later on, but you got to get the quarterback right. if you're not going to get a veteran, which so far it's been not great for the Panthers and veteran quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett is your guy. He is pretty much, we talked about this, Derek Carr incarnate. So if Derek Carr can bring a Raiders team to be pretty damn mediocre. Yeah. Well, if he's bringing a pretty poor roster to be mediocre, then I think Kenny Pickett can bring a fully loaded roster to pretty great heights. And I just love his abilities. So that is my picks. You going next?
Yeah, I had the Jets. I went Derek Stingley. I kind of knew that, hey, the Giants and the Panthers, they're probably not going corner, especially the Panthers. I don't think they're going corner after grabbing Horn this past year over Justin Fields. Just throwing that out there. But I kind of figured Stingley will fall to me here. I know double dipping in the secondary. Oh, gosh, that's terrible. Joe Douglas, he loves the trenches. Listen, after Evan Neal, man, like Iggy'd be great. He'd be fine. He's a very similar prospect to Mekhi Becton. Yeah. But I don't know, man. There's just something about getting 2 top 5 talents just in my secondary that is just like, mwah. So I did it.
Don't blame you. But unfortunately, Falcons fans, you don't get to get Derek Stingley. But you've shown a favoritism towards Clemson, guys. And given the fact that Andrew Booth is the most athletic corner, not named Derek Stingley, he's going to light up the combine, has had a very good end to his career there at Clemson. So he's going to get the nod here. He's developed quite a bit over the season. He's been able to be picked on, but he came back. He's resilient, and he's extremely athletic. Their upside is way too much. You need a left cornerback, and now you pair up the Clemson duo. So there you go. Now, Eagles fans, this pick is going to be David Ojabo. So you're going to be losing BG as well as Derek Barnett, and honestly, you have Josh Sweat left. David Ojabo is extremely young, extremely moldable. We took Jordan Mailata as a tackle, right? So we're not afraid to get guys who have almost no experience. David Ojabo, extremely raw, but you see flashes of DeMarcus Ware in this guy. He's young, he's nifty. You need to select him at this point because other teams will be doing so right behind you. Also had the Minnesota Vikings, and I pondered edge here. I would have went David Ojabo personally, but Sauce Gardner is on the board. And of course, we're going to see New Year's Eve whether this is actually going to be the right spot for Sauce Gardner going up against a guy like Jameson Williams.
That's going to be fun to watch.
That's going to be fun to watch.
You can watch it here with me on YouTube.
Yes, here, as in on Broshmo's channel.
Oh, yeah.
You do all the watch alongs. But I'm going to be covering the game through the media stuff. That's going to be entertaining. But then I also had Washington. And although offensive line might be in need, you never know if Scherf's going to be there. You don't know how the left tackle situation is going to be after 1 year from now. I went with the most important position that Washington's lacking, quarterback. So I went Malik Willis. He's my QB1 of the class. I love everything about him. Decision-making, sure, it might not be great, but he's not given very much to work with in the first place with Liberty. I think he's actually going to have a better NFL career than he did college. Now on to you.
So, Raiders, I kept it plain and simple. They just lost their Alabama speedster. So I replaced them with another Alabama speedster, Jameson Williams.
There you go.
There you go.
Yep. And the Eagles, I know that we love Jason Kelsey. Landon Dickerson is doing very well. Suamalu also can play center. However, Suamalu has 1 more year left on his contract. Dickerson's been playing amazing, and Kelsey's getting old. Also,
give Jack Driscoll some respect, dude. He's going to be manning up the other guard position.
Jack Driscoll's pretty good. I don't mind Jack Driscoll at all.
You don't mind him.
But yeah, no, he's solid.
He doesn't care what you think, man.
Dude,
I liked him coming out the draft a lot.
I know. I had a third on him. Didn't he get drafted in like the 4th or something?
Somewhere on day 3.
Yeah. So watch the extended version for more discourse like that. But I decided to go Tyler Linderbaum here. The value drop from him to the next center, which in my opinion, that's going to be Alec Lindstrom, is for me, Tyler Linderbaum top 5 to Alec Lindstrom late day 3 or late day 2. So it's a huge talent drop. He is, in my opinion, the best interior offensive lineman, which is center or guard, since Quentin Nelson.
Denver Broncos, man. This is the mindset. You got steady Teddy. We know Drew Lock's not the answer. I want a quarterback. I want one that I think can maybe compete right now. Already seeing guys like Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis go off the board. I went with my other pro-ready quarterback being Sam Howell. I like this guy. Rocket for an arm. I think he's a bit more accurate downfield than a Matt Corral. So welcome Sam Howell to the Denver Broncos. Oh, and I got the Pittsburgh Steelers, don't I? Oh, joy. I didn't go quarterback. I really think they're going to probably bring in a veteran quarterback to man up Big Ben's spot. I don't know. It's kind of wait and see. And at this point, we're grabbing the sloppy seconds, like not even sloppy seconds, thirds, like already 3 quarterbacks off the board. So I went and I addressed the offensive line. And I think getting Charles Cross is just ridiculous value for a team that's going more toward this athletic offensive line. Cross here at 16, a guy that I think is top 10. I think he's blue chip. I think is fabulous. And then the Cleveland Browns. Hey, we're going to give Baker, he's already got the 5th year. We already got that going. I'm going to go ahead, get him a receiver. Give him no excuses? Yeah, excuses. Wilson, for me, and Williams, they're kind of 1A, 1B. They bring a lot different to the table. So I like Garrett Wilson. Comes in, one of the probably most polished route runner in this class, can do a lot after the catch. I like what he brings. Baltimore Ravens, this one was tough, man. I'm not going to lie. It's tough drafting for the Ravens. They are a team that really likes to grab players that are either ideal scheme fits or just best player on the board. So I think I really went best player on the board, and I went Kenyon Green, a guy that can play both tackle and guard. So he kind of gives you a little bit of both of what you need, especially with injuries and such. Mainly the tackle position is a guy that can come out and play right tackle immediately across from Stanley, right? Stanley, yeah.
He's playing left because Ronnie Stanley's a right tackle.
Oh, wasn't Ronnie? No, Ronnie was playing left last year.
No, he's a right because Alejandro Villanueva's a left.
He's left because Ronnie got hurt, and so did the guy that was filling in for him.
Jawan James also came in.
Jawan James, wasn't he hurt all this year?
Possibly, but he was signed to the Ravens roster.
I know he was signed to the roster. Yeah, because I know they have Tyree Phillips right now playing right. But I think that's just because of injuries. Started stacking. I'm pretty sure Staley was left. I know he was left tackle last year.
Yeah, he might have been left. I'm looking at pictures of him. Yeah, he's like left right now. But still, right good now, fit regardless. I mean, we saw against Alabama, even if he has to fill in at left, that he can play it.
I think he's a tackle in the league. I'm going to say it.
All right. Well, at number 19, Matt Corral to the Saints.
The Saints have no problem with the sloppy thirds.
Yeah. So Matt Corral, PSA, is my high school quarterback. I have a personal connection to the guy, so I obviously don't think I think he's honestly better than this pick suggests. And I'm a Steelers fan, so personally, I think he should have went there. But the second guy I would have taken is Charles Cross, so cannot complain there. But Matt Corral provides a crazy arm, a cheap contract, and if you're willing to get him back into 2020 form, where he's willing to throw those interceptions, then I think you get somebody who is a lot better in the NFL than the guy that analysts right now are saying is like QB1 this draft. And that's just my genuine opinion. I think he's throwing to guys who are wide open. You see how uncomfortable he is in the red zone when he's been just told, be safe, be safe, be safe. He starts throwing weird interceptions like he normally does, but he doesn't throw those amazing balls that he used to.
We saw that against Alabama too.
Yeah, he was a different quarterback this year. That's why, honestly, I feel fine with him falling this far. He's also very thin, injury prone, but he's one hell of a competitor. So Matt Corral, number 19.
Yeah, the quarterbacks, they're going to change straight up. Like after the Senior Bowl, I think we're going to see a lot of shifting, a lot of movement. Mm-hmm. But Buffalo Bills, they don't have to worry about that. They got a fine quarterback in Josh Allen, and I went ahead and I grabbed a fine cornerback in Trent McDuffie. I think he's a really good fit for the defense there, for Sean McDermott, across from, Tre'Davious White. Mm-hmm. And because, I mean, these are your starting corners now. You got guys like Dane Jackson, Levi Wallace. Like, grabbing more depth and more competition, I think, for me, is always the right answer. Next, I got my Miami football Dolphins. And what did I do? Well, if you're not new to the channel, you know I don't like the idea of offensive line unless we could get some of these blue chip guys like a Linderbaum, Neal, Icky, Cross. That didn't happen. At 21, it's not going to happen. Sorry. Not sorry.
Sure.
Wide receiver is also another option here, but I thought, hey, let's go ahead and pounce on the linebacker. And I went with Devin Lloyd. I think he's actually a really good fit. I think he's kind of like the Dante Hightower in this defense. A guy that can come off the edge. He can blitz. He's real big wingspan. He could sit back there in coverage while you got Jermaine Baker, kind of like your guy that you might man up on the tight ends or the run backs and such. So, yeah, I did that. Los Angeles Chargers. Marvin Leo, man, this is just a good upgrade from your Jerry Tillery. He's going to be a great penetrator, especially if he puts turns that bad weight into good weight. As we were kind of talking about that, I think earlier in the week. Or I guess not even earlier in the week, last week about.
Yeah.
All right, my friend, Philadelphia Eagles.
So Eagles back on the board. I am not going to neglect the secondary. I know that for the Eagles, you need a corner and a safety. We got it. And a linebacker. We got it. So we're fine. Wide receiver. Yes. Wide receiver is obviously a position that we could address. Just right now, you don't have, Chris Olave is certainly a target. Cornerback too is such a need. You guys know it. I know it. Kyrie Elam, he's still on the board. Lock it in. But the Lions get to savor the fact that they get Chris Olave. Desperately need probably a third wide receiver. Good separator as well. Khalif Raymond, good deep threat. Amon-Ra St. Brown, great in the slot. I like that nice trio right there. And you got the Bengals.
Yeah, and I like no one on the offensive line for the Bengals at this point. So I went with Roger McCreary in my next corner off the board. I think he'd be a good guy to play next to Uzier. Eli Apple's been more down than up, and Trayvon Wayne's just every time he's on the field feels like he's being put into a blender. And then Darius Phillips is a fine depth option. So yeah, grabbing someone that can legit play across from Uzier, I think would be nice. And then Tennessee Titans. Oh man, this was tough because there wasn't a lot of options that I really liked, but I ended up going with Nakobe Dean because he was kind of falling down the board here. Jayon Brown and Rashaan Evans, they're gone after this year, so getting someone next to David Long there, I think is key. I know they got Monty Rice. This is the guy that caused Monty Rice to go to the bench. Upgrade.
Yep. So for Arizona, I know that we need to get an edge presence more than anything. And when you look at it, you look at Kingsley Enagbare as well as Trevon Walker. And I think the guy with the most upside is Trevon. You have him going next to J.J. Watt, and he can bring a hell of a lot of upside to this team. Low PFF pass rushing grade, but he's great in coverage as well. And if he's able to learn from the best, he may have the best chance of being the best for this team. Tampa Bay, they had Jordan Davis fall into their lap, and Dominican Sue's getting older. Not really much more to explain.
Fair. Patriots. I just couldn't let Treylon Burks continue to fall. It was just, for me, really good value here for a guy that might be DK, Chase Claypool type of mismatch nightmare in the NFL. The guy's very good after the catch. So, yeah, good at the contested catch point. I don't think there's much to say there, man. This is just, I think, a good pick.
Yeah. With the Cowboys bringing Curse back, and with how many reps that they give to theirs
yet. I said I think
they definitely will bring him back with how well he's played. So assuming that, given how many snaps their top, I think 4 safeties have gotten over their fourth quarter.
Yeah, exactly. I actually mentioned that, I think, in one of my mocks.
Yeah. So given how many safeties that they're putting in rotation, it's kind of a no-brainer since it's working. Continue that trend. Jordan Battle's an excellent safety out of Alabama, has everything that you're looking for. Great run support, solid receiving skills as well in terms of intercepting, good ball skills, and he's solid in coverage. Gets picked on here and there, but makes the big plays when he needs to.
Stinking level, man. Kansas City Chiefs, I went with Kingsley Enagbare. He's 15th on my big board. And I think pass rush is the most dire need for the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, yeah, no, the pass rush has been fine recently. Marvin Ingram, he's on, a 1-year deal. And, again, he's an older player. When will it go downhill? Frank Clark, man, he is so hot and cold. Like, he is not worth the contract they paid him. You never know when he will disappear. And guess what? He disappears more times than not. So, yeah, I kind of want to get pass rush.
Agreed. With the Packers, I'm finally doing something that they have needed to do for about 1,000 years at this point. That's draft a first-round wide receiver. Drake London he was supposed to win the damn Biletnikoff Award, right? Is that the best? Oh, wait, is that the NFL?
No. You nailed it. You nailed it.
Oh, yeah, it's the Biletnikoff Award. I was like, is that an NFL record? But yeah, he was supposed to win the Biletnikoff. He was putting up 1,000 yards in like 8 games. He's an absolute monster, 6'5", good after the catch, good hands. UFC knows what they're doing, and Drake London is an absolute stud. You need help for Jordan Love. Get him, Drake London.
Dude, let's enter the second round. And I entered it hot, dude. Texans, we already took Evan Neal. And I was like, you know what? I want to continue just taking the best players on my board. So I went with pass rush. I went with Arnold Ebiketie, dude. Big fan of this cat. After he transferred from Temple, I was like, hey, this is a guy to watch out for. He's coming to a Power 5 school to really show out. And he did.
Yeah. So actually, funnily enough, the guy who I took next for the Lions is Daquan Brisker. So the strong safety position is absolutely atrocious, and he's the best player on the board. But I got to say, when I watched Daquan Brisker as well as Brandon Smith, Arnold Ebiketie was the guy who stood out the most to me. So I'm going to second him on putting Arnold Ebiketie pretty close to the first round.
Choo-choo. Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm just going to continue the trend of best player on the board. I think this guy's going to probably show out at the Senior Bowl. I went with Bernhard Raymond at a Central Michigan. So got to protect your big investment. We don't know what you got or what they got in Walker Little. Juwan Taylor's been very, meh, and Cam Robinson probably not coming back. New York Jets. They're at this point. I mean, I could have gone Trevor Penning. I didn't want to, though. Sorry, not sorry. But I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's a good scheme fit there for the Jets. Said I went with Drake Jackson, kind of like he's going to, in my mind, going to be this D Ford type of role for the Jets. So, hey, we addressed the trenches there. Did Joe Douglas proud.
So for the other New York team, the Giants, I know that linebacker is a huge need, and I just talked about some Penn State guys. Brandon Smith still on the board. He was tested at 4.38, and he's 240 pounds. So I think also the hype of the other Penn State linebacker in their own division, Micah Parsons, might drive a little bit more of a hype to these Penn State linebackers.
I'm not gonna lie. Like when we did this, I started freaking out when you said Smith because I was like, oh my gosh, because that's who I wanted to target for the Jets at 40. Just immediately after I picked for the Jets to hear you mention his name, I was like, no.
Dude, I love me some Brandon Smith.
He's good.
Number 38 for the Bears, though. I was thinking about going Trevor Penning here because, I mean, he's just athletically a monster. I have him as easily a first-round pick. But the Bears, more than anything, you got Larry Borum there. For the love of God, he's been playing well, so just pray that continues. You need a number 1 wide receiver. AR-12 is not going to be there anymore. George Pickens is the only true X that I trust at this high to be a true X in the NFL. So, yeah, I'm not going to explain much more than that. If you guys want to listen to all the commentary, again, there's a 3-hour version, but he's built to be a true one. Huh?
Was it really that long?
I'm not mistaken. It's like 2 to 3 hours. It's crazy. But next, for the Seahawks, Trevor Penning can't fall anymore. This team desperately needs a left tackle. Dwayne Brown is not going to last anymore. I mean, he might not last on this earth much longer, for Christ's sakes. So getting a guy like Trevor Penning to come in and just completely add a unique blocking threat to the Seahawks would be outstanding, especially with how much they like to run. He's incredible.
So Dwayne Brown might die.
You never know. He is that old.
Yeah. So if you remember, I was having an incredibly tough time with this next Jets pick. And I'm not completely sold that this guy is a good scheme fit for the offensive line, but I went with Darion Kennard. And I think if they grab him, this is a Greg Van Roten replacement. I don't think he could play tackle for this wide zone offensive or blocking scheme the Jets have. So I went with that. Miami Dolphins, man. Again, I'm just going best player available, and I got Cameron Thomas, despite what some other people may think. I think this guy's extremely good, very versatile, and maybe like the less athletic, less explosive version of Aiden Hutchinson, but that's why these guys kind of go on day 2. So I got a little versatility for my Dolphins. Yeah. I addressed the trenches, just not the side everyone wants to. Why do you want to get younger on the offensive line? Gonna kill Tua, dang it.
I know. But the Vikings, I talked about getting an athletic edge in the first. It's time to get it in the second. Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State, I've loved him to death. Even when he was in Georgia, this guy's an absolute freak. He kind of shows me some weird flashes of Myles Garrett, and that's a pretty ballsy claim. Not going to make that comp, but he does show some insane talent at a position of need. He's a freak athlete.
He's got steel beams for arms, dude. They're so big.
They're monsters. Like, he's just such he's a monstrosity. I love him. Saints, we neglected wide receiver in the first. No longer.
Well, to draft quarterback, okay.
We drafted quarterback. So to be fair, it was definitely a position of potential need. Jahan Dotson is on the board, and he can't fall anymore. He's been pretty much one-man armying his entire offense. And yeah, no more disrespect to the man. Really good player. Next, Washington, you need a free safety. You also kind of need a slot corner. Daxton Hill accomplishes both, and he's an amazing athlete. So I think you get to solve a lot of things all at once with Daxton. And then we got Atlanta. So I'm on a roll here. I actually got another pick after this too. We got the Falcons going Myjai Sanders, just again, best player available. We need pass rush. Unfortunately, we can't go with a guy like Drake Jackson because the schmo already took him earlier. So
it's by D Ford.
True. But Myjai Sanders is far from someone to scoff at in the mid to late second. This guy was projected to be a first round pick. 46, Eagles. We're back on the board, and we're getting Lewis Sign out of Georgia. So unfortunately, I wanted to go a linebacker here in Chad Mumma, which we'll see where he goes later, unfortunately. But of course, it's by my hand too. That's the annoying thing. But strong safety is a huge need. Anthony Harris going to be leaving, and the drop off from Lewis Sign to the next true strong safety, in my eyes, is exponential. And he's the only starting strong safety left at all in the draft, and by a wide margin. So it's not like you can take a shot on somebody in the next round and feel confident. In my opinion, Lewis Sign, you want to know who he is? Look at him level a guy like Kyle Pitts. So
that's helmet to helmet too, by the way. Look at him level him with an illegal hit.
He still offers that boom, man.
He does got the boom. Cincinnati Bengals. I wanted to address the offensive line here. There wasn't a tackle that I really loved. Like, there's Petit Frere, but I don't know. He's kind of a little further down my board. I don't want to reach so much, but I stayed with offensive line. I went with the guy I do absolutely love in Zion Johnson. He's got tackle experience. Actually, a bulk of his college career at Boston College, he played the tackle position, moved to left guard this year. So you're getting a banger guard who could maybe come in and be a tackle. He's got good movement skills. I think he's a great fit in Zach Taylor's offense. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're neglecting quarterback. We don't need it. We got veteran whoever. Maybe they trade for Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania, round 3, baby.
Just get Jameis.
Yeah, it could get Jameis. Yeah, that too. But I think the secondary really needs some attention. Obviously, Joe Hayden, he getting older. I think Cameron Sutton needs to move back to slot, in my opinion. And they got some other guys. What, James Pierre? Is that the other cat? Yep. Yeah, who it's like they're developing, but still you want to get more talent at the position. I think the secondary has actually been an obvious weakness for the Steelers this year. I went with Kyler Gordon, man. This cat is a phenomenal athlete, and the ball skills are legit. I love legit ball skills. Denver Broncos. I went with linebacker here, Christian Harris. Stud in terms of his athletic upside. Obviously, in coverage, kind of needs to come a bit long way, but he gives you good he gives you pressure from the linebacker position. The dude can blitz extremely well. Let's go ahead and just go straight to Baltimore at this point, man. I feel like the AFC North is just so close together, man. Got Bengals, Steelers, jump to Ravens. But I went with Martin Emerson. I'm in this best available mentality because I got him way higher on my big board. And we've seen injuries just kind of riddle the Baltimore Ravens. So just grabbing depth, I think, at the corner position, which is, again, already one of the most volatile positions in football, just ensures that you're good at that position. So I grabbed Emerson there. Las Vegas Raiders. I went with Travis Jones, my big, meaty boy, Not so much meaty, only 13% body fat, but got them a nice big interior presence there. It's going to be a great run stuffer, and I think he shows there's some promise there in terms of being a pass rusher. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I don't think him and Jordan Davis are too far off. And then Indianapolis Colts. I went ahead and got that left tackle of the future in Nicholas Petit-Frere. Honestly, this is for me probably a better range for him. Even then, I was still pretty hesitant to take him. I was having a tough time with this Colts pick. But Graham Petit-Frere, a guy, you can play on the right, left side, whatever they want to do. If they want to leave Braden Smith there on the right side, they sure can. But Petit-Frere, I think he's shown enough this year. Yeah, he kind of got mollywopped by like Ebiketie and Hutch, but so did a lot of teams this year. So the guy's got the tools. Buffalo Bills, I did go to the interior of the defense here and got Devontae Wyatt. This guy might have the best get off of any of the interior players in this class. He's a solid run defender, which is, if you didn't know, the Buffalo Bills kind of have a hard time defending the run. And then this might be hot. I went with the Chargers getting Isaiah Likely. I love Isaiah Likely. I think this is a guy that could be a mismatch nightmare. He's not going to be a much like a Kyle Pitts, not a traditional tight end if you use him that way. Not saying he is Kyle Pitts. This is like Kyle Pitts, light, extra light. But I think you could use him in a variety of different ways on that offense. And I think it's just fun. And that's what I'm here to have, fun.
Right. So I take on the 49ers, and I want to address the edge position. We've kind of already destroyed all the guys who I'd probably take here. So next one I want to look at is a cornerback. So Darion Kendrick is by far the best one on the board. Excellent at man. Georgia teaches you how to be fully well-balanced. And as long as the personality issues are in check, he is worth a first-round pick, in my opinion. He's an excellent athlete. And yeah, that's it. You need it.
All right, Denver, man. I went with Sam Williams. I think they're going to be looking for another edge presence there with Chubb, with Von Miller obviously gone. I think Malik Reed is a very fine rotation piece, and even a guy that can honestly start. But Sam Williams, man, is just kind of a freak when it comes to get into the passer, dude. He's a guy that I turned on the tape of like last week and was like, golly, dude, I really think this cat is good. So yeah, he is good. And again, Denver just kind of going best available. Cleveland, I'm kind of doing the same. I grabbed Trey McBride. I know, dude. I'm giving Baker Mayfield.
Here comes the
excuses.
comments.
Yeah, listen, this was one of the best players on the board that really felt like a good fit for the Cleveland Browns. I do think he's an upgrade over all their tight ends, Njoku, Hooper. Even my boy, who was the cat they grabbed out of?
Austin Bryant.
Thank you.
Bryant.
Yeah, Harrison Bryant.
Harrison Bryant, not Austin Bryant.
Which typically, dude, I think Cleveland, they're up there with the Ravens in terms of how often they have a third tight end on the field. That's right, I said it. A third tight end. So grabbing probably who might be arguably the best tight end in this class, I think is fine. This is a guy that's also a receiving threat. I would say he's at least on par with like a Austin Hooper in that regard, which you're overpaying anyway.
So Atlanta, I know that the prospects of getting a quarterback is pretty low. However, you're at the late second. This isn't your second pick. This is literally if I'm not mistaken, it's their third pick. Yeah, you got Myjai earlier. So you're spending late second. Yeah, I got Myjai. I was just making sure this was the second pick.
I got you.
You got to spend a late second round pick on a guy who many consider a bona fide first round prospect. Desmond Ritter out of Cincinnati. You know that Matt Ryan, A, is getting older, B, his contract's going to be coming up in a couple years, and C, he just doesn't elevate the offense the way he should. The wide receiver, David Bell, was certainly on my mind, but you can never go wrong at potentially getting your franchise quarterback at pick 58. So I decided to go David Bell to this next pick, to the Cardinals. So, I think that we all saw how pretty terrible the Cardinals look without DeAndre Hopkins. So it was pretty obvious that you guys need one more wide receiver at least to complete that. David Bell is a solid all-around wide receiver. And putting my soul in the grave, Chad Mumma goes to the Buccaneers. And I fell in love with this guy when I watched him. If you guys want to see a fun player, he is lightning fast at 6 foot. I think he's about 240 pounds at 6'3". And he's incredible in coverage. He's the perfect successor to Levante David. I can just imagine how damn good this linebacking core is going to be. I'd take him in the first if I were Tampa Bay.
Holy moly. Well, I'm the New England Patriots. Used to have Tom Brady. Not anymore, Tampa does. But we got Mac Jones. He's pretty darn good. And we got to make sure we protect Mac Jones because Trent Brown, how often is that cat healthy? Actually, less often than he is unhealthy, typically gets hurt. So grabbing a guy that maybe you could develop, especially that's already familiar, playing the right tackle position, I went with Daniel Falele out of Minnesota. This felt like the most Patriot move to me. So I liked it. This might be my favorite pick of the draft.
It's fun. It's a fun pick. I like it.
I got the Kansas City Chiefs going Nick Cross. Got my Sorensen replacement, a guy that is going to test out like a freak, dude. I really think he's going to test out like a Jeremy Chin and a Kyle Duggar for his size. A guy that could cover a lot of ground. I love it. Honestly, the Chiefs, I grabbed probably two of my favorite guys in this draft. And Nagbari and Cross, so
yeah,
I love it.
So for the Cowboys, we're losing Michael Gallup. The value at other positions just wasn't good enough to me at the moment. You could look at the offensive line and you could go somebody like you could, of course, go after Sean Ryan to be Connor Williams' replacement. But it wouldn't just be fun to have arguably the most entertaining weapon in the draft. Wan'Dale Robinson out of Kentucky is somebody you can play at running back if you want to. You don't have to, but he's going to be excellent with the ball in his hands. He's lightning quick. And honestly, it's just a really good way to make sure Dak stays healthy is getting the ball out of his hands into Wan'Dale's and watch him go. Of course, he's crazy. Next, Green Bay. The offensive line needs to be addressed. Obviously, you need to protect whoever is back there. Right tackle, in my opinion, is a good spot to address with a guy like Max Mitchell, who's been very consistent over the past year for Louisiana. They also know how to run block very well. So cheers to the Raging Cajuns for continuing to develop offensive talent.
All right, starting the third round with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to keep that mindset of best player available. And currently, best player available, that's not a quarterback because Carson Strong's kind of the next cat.
Yeah.
But I went with Andrew Voorhees out of USC. I like this cat a lot, man. They've lined him up at left tackle. He plays mainly playing left guard, though. Very quick, very agile, very technically sound, very aware of his surroundings, too. I saw him notice that I think he was playing on the right side in this. No. He was pulling over. And he noticed that the right tackle just totally whiffed on their block and just ate this dude alive. Beautiful. So this is my AJ Cann replacement. Then again, I mean, also you could probably maybe look in the future for who's the other one? Andrew Nordstrom? No.
Which one?
Norwell? Well, who's the other guard? The left guard.
Norwell.
Yeah. Because, honestly, you could replace that cat. I feel like he's a bit overpaid, too. Because Ben Barch has actually been solid. So, a lot of different options. I'm just grabbing best player available.
So, Detroit, I didn't plan on getting a quarterback until it's the third round. And, with 3 knee repairs, you might as well get them in round 3, right? So, you're at 66, get Carson Strong. Worst case scenario, you're spending a third-round pick on a backup. But, he has everything you're looking for. He has good arm strength. He's been able to run the 2-minute drill. There's a lot to like. So why not in the third?
Yeah, tantalizing. Houston Texans continuing best player on the board. And it works out because running back position's kind of atrocious there. Kenneth Walker, man, he's going to go a lot higher than this probably. I think it'll be similar to like Javonte Williams, where he probably goes in like that 30 to 45 range, probably. Well, 33. I don't want to include him as a first round. I don't think he is. But I think this was a good gift for the Houston Texans at 67, obviously. Then the New York Football Jets. Jets, Jets. I addressed linebacker. They kind of got a couple of guys there are a bit lighter, and they're I don't want to say more coverage. I don't think who is it? Hamsaw Nazar-Ildeen. I don't think he's really a coverage guy. Line him up on a tight end and a running back. That's fine. But nonetheless, I wanted to get a nice run stuffer, very explosive coming downhill. I got Channing Tindall. I'm actually a big fan of this cat out of Georgia. I know them Georgia linebackers are.
So honestly, I think Kenneth Walker could have went to Houston in their second round pick. Just if you're looking for that spot in the early second round, never know.
Oh, man, for as many needs as they have, what a waste of value.
Well, for the Bears, they're not going to waste value. They're going to get their left guard replacement for James Daniels in Sean Ryan out of UCLA.
Sean Ryan, left lucky pick 69.
He's a lucky pick 69. I have him as one of my favorite left tackles and one of my favorite left guards. So I love this pick. I love the value. And I love Sean Ryan. So I'm going to continue developing the Bears offensive line. The Giants, you guys kind of need a tight end at this point. Whether you trade for one or draft one, that's up to you. But in this draft, you got one. Jeremy Ruckert, you decided to bring in, what's the cat's name from Minnesota? Kyle Rudolph. Yeah. So you brought in Kyle Rudolph. This is pretty much him on steroids. And he's a solid catch. He's a solid pass catcher. He's a good run blocker. He has some solid athleticism. He's certainly worth a third round pick.
All right. Jacksonville Jaguars. I did want to get some firepower at the receiver position. I did it with Jalen Tolbert, a guy that could probably put on a little bit more weight at 6'3", only 190, I believe. But the guy's going to be a fantastic downfield threat. Dude's catching the most inaccurate balls in all of college football. And if you could get a solid quarterback like said Trevor Lawrence, the generational talent that is Trevor Lawrence, then shoot, man. This is going to be beautiful with Laviska Shenault. Oh, man.
Yeah. So that's kind of Trevor Lawrence's new Justin Ross, by the way. Just a fun
yeah, I went with the better one.
Exactly. Seattle Seahawks are going to be going Zach Harrison here. He's a big athletic freak out of Ohio State. Don't know why he randomly started falling on draft boards like exponentially. Maybe he didn't take the step up they needed to, but this is a team that's bereft of edge talent, and it's a guy that offers a hell of a ton of upside.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Upside. Dude's just super unpolished.
Yeah, and this is a team that could definitely use it. Next to Philadelphia, I really considered John Metchy here, but linebacker is still a huge issue, and both options were great. So I decided to go with linebacker. Kind of regret it in retrospect, just because, again, I love John Metchy, but Darian Beavers is a true Mike linebacker, 255 pounds, excellent in zone coverage, wonderful in play recognition. So he's going to be an amazing commander of this defense. We don't value linebackers, sure, but we draft them in the third round, and this is the best that you can get at third.
Houston Texans, man. I went with the greatest of all time. I got the Black Mamba himself, Kobe Bryant. Oh, man. He's going to change. I don't know how he stayed on the board this long, Kobe Bryant, man. But, oh, man, I thought it was Kobe with a K. Dang it. Regardless, dudes, I think is going to be a really good fit for Lovie Smith's cover 2 defense, excuse me.
Cover 2 offense is good.
Yeah, cover 2 offense. Oh, my gosh. Sorry, we're 70 picks in here. I'm going to be slurring my words. Promise, it's just coffee in my cup. Las Vegas Raiders, man, nothing really felt really right, and I really did want to address the offensive line, so I did. And there, like, the corners on the board, I felt like after Brian, it's like, oh, man, I really don't know. But I went with, was it Lacetus? Lacetus Smith, thank you. I'll get it down before the draft, I promise. To come in and be kind of a guard, because I assumed that Tom Cable is going to love him some Alex Leatherwood despite the struggles and not move him to the inside. So I went ahead and grabbed Mr. Smith here.
So for Washington, we talked about how we might be losing Brandon Scherf in the offseason. Also, I'm pretty sure that Leno, if I'm not mistaken, will be also leaving. And then you have what we already had at left tackle last year. Yeah. Yes, Cornelius Lucas. Well, on one more year. So we do have some guys like Sadiq Charles who's deciding to take his game up. He's a really good filler in. But I have my number 31 overall player still on the board. And the reason I didn't take him earlier is because obviously realism. He's not going to go above a guy like Sean Ryan. But
Not yet.
That's true. That's Tyler Smith.
Yeah, maybe you're just early on him, man.
That is true. Tyler Smith is a first rounder to me. At left tackle, he is probably worth a mid to early 2. He is 330 pounds. He has an excellent anchor. He is a monster in the run game. And if you want to watch any fun tape, it literally came out about an hour before we started recording this. It was the bowl game that they just played. He literally pancaked like 6 dudes in both run and pass pro. I am absolutely in love with this guy. He's a freak. I would not be surprised to hear his name mid-first day 1.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I'm still on the board. With the New York Giants, I think that with Devontae Booker looking legitimate, it's time to address that position with someone who's actually talented and healthy. Saquon's talented.
They're not re-signing Saquon.
I hope to God they don't. So no disrespect to my boy Saquon, but it's time to move on. Breece Hall, excellent value on the board. This guy's deserving of a second round pick for sure. I love him out of Iowa State. He's a 3-down back. He can catch. He can make you miss. He is the real deal. He also can command an offense on his own without a quarterback that's good like Brock Purdy. Next, with Minnesota. I see your face. Next with Minnesota. I know I do like Purdy. I was just trying to throw a little bit of shade because he used to be number 19 overall, according to TDN, as well as everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Minnesota, they get a little bit richer on offense because somebody should have been taken almost a full round before if it weren't for his ACL tearing. That is John Metchy. The positions on the outside are fine, but John Metchy will probably succeed the most as a slot wide receiver. Do you need him? No. But it's best player available. Can you deny getting a guy like John Metchy at 78? I sure as hell wouldn't, and I don't think you would either.
Speaking of getting a guy like John Metchy at 78, I couldn't stop from getting a guy like Nick Benito, 79. It didn't feel right. Like this is what I've been saying. This guy is gonna be hard to predict where he goes in the draft because he's gonna be such a scheme fit. Yep. And for the Browns, this just felt like an embarrassment of like, I can't pass on this. On this. Let's grab a guy that can come out and just be a monster on the outside. He's got a little coverage experience. They're trying to get faster anyway in that like back 7. This is a guy has experience in coverage. But I just couldn't let him fall any further. I probably would have taken him with this next pick with the Steelers if he did, but ended up not. Then the Steelers, I took Tariq Woolen, the cornerback out of UTSA. I haven't watched much film on him. I know he made Bruce Feldman's Freaks list in terms of his length, his athleticism. He actually just declared today as well. So I think this is a guy that probably, if he gets, I don't know if he's gotten accepted to like a Shrine Bowl or a Senior Bowl, but that could probably stand out. Could be a better version of like a Robert Rochelle from last year, who ended up still going, I think, on day 2 or maybe he slipped to the 4th.
Yeah, I think he was the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah. I don't know. Regardless, I felt like he was a bit overdrafted. At the time, obviously, he could develop well. Cincinnati Bengals, I actually ended up grabbing the tackle, Kellen Dyche out of Arizona State. Just a really good scheme fit, I think, already playing in a very zone-heavy scheme there with the Sun Devils and Herm Edwards. Baltimore Ravens, again, I'm just kind of trying to snag the best players on the board, man. Just get more depth because, as we learned this year, depth, it's kind of a thing for the Ravens. They need a lot of it if they're going to have like 80 people injured and on IR. So I went with Phidarian Mathis, man. I think he's actually a pretty good fit. He's a really good straight line pass rusher, very good run stuffer. So I liked this pick. I think it was just a very good value at this time because I think I have him probably in the 60 range. So yeah, good value.
Tariq Woolen, by the way, is going to be going to the Senior Bowl.
Senior Bowl? So, freaking yes, dude. Hopefully he does better than Rochelle, man. I know. Had a rough time, and I think he got hurt after day 2. So,
Yeah. So, representing Oaks Christian once again, Zach Charbonnet is going to be going to the Atlanta Falcons. We've seen what abysmal running back play they have when it's not a wide receiver running the ball.
Yeah, I was about to say, you got to give luck to Patterson.
Yeah, Cordell Patterson is just I mean, he's doing what a receiver who can't be a receiver anymore should do. And that's excellent for him. I could see Wan'Dale doing that in the future.
Trying to prove that he was a first-round pick like 12 years ago.
Kind of. But Zach Charbonnet is a perfect guy for this team, especially if you want Cordero Patterson also working as a combo back. The pick is just, it's too good to pass on. So also being too good to pass on, the Niners, the edge 2 position is just, it's a turnstile. You don't even know if D Ford's going to be healthy or effective. This is a great spot to get a guy who has such a high ceiling that it's almost impossible not to fall in love with him. It's Boye Mafe out of Minnesota. He's, I believe, also a Feldman Freaks list. Yep. 40 and a half.
No, definitely is.
Yeah. I mean, you look at his arm length as well. He's explosive. He has everything you're looking for. He just needs a little more polish. And a guy like Nick Bosa might be the right guy to learn that from. So I love it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I had a ton of trouble drafting for the Colts. I knew I wanted a little bit more speed at receiver. I don't think I got it. I think Romeo Doubs, I ended up grabbing Romeo Doubs. I think he's a good deep threat. I think he's got good long speed. It wasn't really I'm looking for this more like acceleration, explosiveness. And I don't think Doubs is that. He's just really good at stacking corners vertically. So, I mean, that's still pretty scary though, across from Pittman. But yeah. I'm not going to lie, man. For me, this Colts draft, it was really tough to do. Probably the toughest. And then the Los Angeles Chargers, I went with Donovan West, a guy that has experience at both guard spots and at center, playing in a very zone-heavy scheme. I think that's a good fit for the Chargers. Kind of improve upon who's playing right guard right now? It's Ibushi or something like that?
Yeah.
And then the Bills, I went there. Mumford got a solid guy, maybe a low ceiling type of dude, but he's going to come in. He's going to be, I think, a very efficient NFL starter, especially at the guard position, which is kind of not good for the Buffalo Bills. And then Denver Broncos, I got back-to-back picks. So, again, I'm just kind of drafting guys high on my board. Jackson Kirkland, come in. He could end up playing guard, or maybe he's the right tackle of the future. Regardless, this is the third round. I'm taking shots on guys. Jalen Pitre, I think, is a wonderful pick for maybe a Bryce Callahan that maybe he leaves. If not, Pitre's a guy you can really use in sub packages and be pretty wonderful with. Tennessee Titans, I went Jalen Wademeyer because they need a tight end, man. Or they need. I know, right? To be fair, like Wademeyer is, I think, he's a fine enough receiver. He's not like an explosive receiver, but the tight end position you don't really have to be. I think this guy's going to be a red zone threat. He's going to be a very good chain mover. He's shown some ability after the catch to just stiff arm guys to the ground. The drops were kind of an issue this year, but again, this is like the prior 2 years they weren't. So it's like I don't know if that's maybe just something that happened this year. You know, it wasn't normally the norm. So, but regardless, this is great value for him. And you know what? You're getting a guy that could develop into a really good run blocker.
It's better than Miller Forrestal. That's all I have to say.
Wow.
Yeah, for the Cardinals, though, I think that we have seen the value of what a solid power back can do. And the offensive line's pretty damn solid. You could have looked at a left guard here because Pugh is 37 years old. But I decided to go Isaiah Spiller, best player available on the board. Obviously, I don't think you should have to re-sign any running back for a longer or more expensive contract, especially when you get a guy like Spiller for about, 4 years? And he could probably rack up just as much as James Conner did. And yeah, I mean, I think it's good. So 92 with the Buccaneers. I went the other side of the running back realm, the receiving style, and that is James Cook. I have a late second on him. I think he's a phenomenal back, and he's extremely underrated. Lightning speed related to obviously Dalvin Cook, and as long as he's used in RBBC, we know after what we saw against the Saints how much they love to use their running backs in the pass game and how much they miss them if they're not there.
Yep. And Ronald Jones potentially on his way out. Actually, Fournette as well, so makes a lot of sense. I went corner with the Patriots. You kind of talked me into Alontae Taylor, to be fair, because I will say all I really know about this cat is he go fast. I haven't really watched him, so
he go fast.
He go fast. He go boom boom real fast.
He's a former wideout.
Oh, that makes a ton of sense. He go well. I guess not necessarily. You could be a 4-5 guy at receiver. But yeah, no, grabbed him because they really should re-sign J.C. Jackson, but will they? You're up, bud.
Oh yeah, right. I'm like, I don't know. Are we having like a dramatic pause? Yeah, with Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, what more can I talk about a guy that I really haven't watched?
True. Dallas Cowboys. It's obvious that Connor Williams should probably be on his way out. Get the hell out of here. So there should be somebody who can step in. Also, Tyron Smith. He's not really healthy all the time. So getting somebody who could also potentially move out to tackle, even though I know Broshmo talks about how there's a billion tight ends around this guy every time he plays tackle, is Jamari Sawyer. Yeah, he has positional versatility. He plays on an SEC offense that continues cooking. I like him personally. I love the versatility, and I think he's perfect for what this team needs. Really good for run blocking as well.
Kansas City Chiefs, I finally got that big boy receiver in Justin Ross. Hopefully everything medically checks out well with him. This is a guy that's going to be you go deep and go up and get it. He was mainly using the slot because he does struggle to get separation. Typically, these aren't my type of guys, but I think this is the type of receiver that Kansas City should really target. I don't think grabbing another speedster really does much of anything, or at least an undersized speedster, which was kind of like the barrel I was staring down at this point. So Ross felt like a good fit.
So for the Packers, I'm pretty sure Tanyan's up for a contract this year, and you're pretty much playing with Mercedes Lewis at this point, and his fat ass can't continue working at his age. So getting Greg Dulcich, an elite tight end out of UCLA, seems
dude, I love Mercedes.
Perfect. Mercedes is a beast. I love him, but so is Greg Dulcich, and the value is incredible
as well.
Detroit Lions linebacker's been neglected. No longer. Jack Campbell out of Iowa has just done an amazing job this year. He's young. He's 6'5" and 240 pounds. He's exactly what you're looking for. Just lock him in and forget about it. It's a 3rd round pick, and it's excellent value. For the Saints. Forget about it. For the Saints, Perion Winfrey. I mean, he couldn't slide down any further. He's an excellent pass rushing threat from the inside. And it's just another way of developing a more lethal front, and already one of the best run stuffing defenses in the NFL. We get a little more lethal on the other side. And New Orleans back in the clock. We still need some extra wide receiver help, right? So the best wide receiver left is Zay Flowers. You have now, you can say it depends if Michael Thomas actually wants to play, but now you have Michael Thomas, Jahan Dotson, Zay Flowers, then you have Callaway, and whoever the hell else you want to insert into that equation. Zay Flowers is burner. He's great after the catch as long as he catches the ball.
So for the Dolphins, I wanted to address receiver eventually. And while I didn't feel like there were a lot of guys that I was in love with at this point, I ended up going with Boise State's Khalil Shakir. There we go. Sorry, because I accidentally selected Kyle Phillips on the mock thing. Yeah. Which Kyle Phillips, he's going to be a fun slot guy probably on late day 3.
Great blocker. I can see him going to the Patriots or Steelers.
Honestly, dude.
That fits.
I'm not going to lie. I think the Niners, if he's a late round pick.
Dude, you're shitting on me for wanting to go wide receiver to the Niners.
Yeah, on day 2.
Late day 2.
Late day 2, excuse me. Anyway, my pick here is Khalil Shakir. This is a guy that can win on the outside, win on the inside. He's a very good route runner. Dude's just been really good this year. I don't think he's a contested catch guy, but you got that in Parker. So I just think adding more weapons around Tua, getting some veterans in on that offensive line, and then you might have a solid offense. And guess what? I don't want to hear anything about running back. Didn't Duke Johnson just go off? Running back, shut up. Not you, but anyone that wants to try to tell me that they need a running back. No.
Well, this pick's probably going to be traded because that's just the Rams thing to do. But if they do ever select,
no, they only trade first rounders.
What happened to their second?
They had to package it with their other first rounders.
That's fair. But this pick is Abraham Lucas. You need a day 1 impact on the offensive line, and he's the last guy who I feel comfortable ever putting on the offensive line to start day one. So
yeah,
that's that.
I have Baltimore final pick, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank goodness. Yeah, I'm still just going best player available. I like Zachary Carter from Florida. If y'all ain't new to the channel, y'all know I've loved this guy for like the last 2 years. And because this is a guy that came in playing on the interior at 260 a couple years ago, put on some mass. Now he's up to 285. Outplayed Brennan Cox. Like, this is a guy with a lot of versatility. And I think it'd just be a good fit for the Ravens, man. I'm just grabbing best player, great fits. But holy moly, that was a hell of a mock draft, man. A lot of twists, turns. It was a good time, man. I can't wait to hear how much fans might like or dislike our picks.
There's a lot more of a chance. There's a much higher probability that they will disagree.
Nah. They love us, dude. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. It's always much appreciated. Much obliged. Check out Alex and Hail Mary
Sports. It's tough.
I was going to say, what do you want to call it?
Yeah, but it's tough for the Hail Mary podcast change.
Yeah, check his channel out. I'll leave it in the link. But until next time, you be easy, our friends. Later.